Okay, so now I have all of my rows on, and I have all of my shading done. And the last thing that I'm going to do, I'm going to show you how to put just a few finishing touches on. We've got Wedgwood Blue here on our palette, so I'm just going to pick up a little bit of that on the edge of my sponge. I'm going to go to my wax palette and tap off just a little bit of it. And then I'm going to come around and I'm going to just tap in a little bit here and there on my bricks. You don't want to put too much because you don't want blue bricks, but you do want this kind of a patina on them. And this is also the place where if you have some parts where you missed, let's see. Let me see if I can find one of those. Oh my goodness. Okay, well, like this part right here has too much red. So I'm just going to tap some of that blue on it, and that breaks that up really well. But so if you have some places where you didn't quite get all of the corners of your sponge down, that's a good place now to place your sponge and get some of that little blue on it. So we're just going to just barely, you know, it's just a tiny little tap, and it's with a sponge that almost has no paint in it. And you're just going to come around and tap a little bit into each brick. Then after you've done that, you just want to look around and assess it and see if you have bricks that you like. And if you don't, then you can come back into here where you have your colors on your palette. And I'm not going to rinse out my sponge, I'm just going to press it down a little bit to pull that blue out. So now I'm just going to come and just tiny little bits, tap it off on your palette, and come in, and if you feel like you've got too much white, or you've got too much blue, or you've got too much light, well, like this one is a little bit muddy, then I'm just going to tap in with some of that red iron oxide, and it helps, and it changes the brick. So this is where you do your damage control. This is where you do your refining, and you can use any and all of those colors. Now see, I just did that and I made some lines, so I'm going to let that dry for a second. I'm going to push some of it off of my sponge. I want some of the darker right here. And so you can go around there. Then while I'm waiting on that to dry, I'm going to come up here. And Sue's original design had bees, but I didn't really care to do that. So I'm going to take this sponge and I'm just going to tap all the way around my brim, and I'm going to use all the colors again. Every one of them, just tapping in there. I'm just going around on my palette and just picking stuff up. Now I picked up my ivory there, and I shouldn't have, because that just kind of canceled out my other colors, so I wiped it off and I'm going back with just the colors until I get all the way around. Play with it until you're happy with your variety of colors. Then take that sponge, that dirty sponge, tap it back into the blue again, wipe it off on your palette so that you don't have too much, and let's tap in a little bit of blue on this brim. And not too much. Okay. Now remember the spot where I said I made some lines? Well, I've got some blue on my brush, or on my sponge. I'm just going to go back and tap that blue over that and take out those lines. Then the last thing I'm going to do is go ahead and take a little bit of my ivory. Got it on my sponge. Tapping it off so that I don't have too much. Then you can come in here and tap a little ivory over top of the blue, here and there. Whoops, don't drop it. You can put a little bit of it up here. And that's it. You're done. And you have this really cool looking flower pot to go plant things in. As soon as it dries, I'm going to cover it with a couple of coats of the Tradition satin varnish so that even in the rain, my design will stay. So I hope that you try this, and I'll put the conversions in for you, but basically, you know, you could just pick out any earthware colors that you like, get a powder blue, get a little bit of an ivory looking color, and just have fun. See you next time. Bye.